In the vastness of space, a mysterious event caused the moon to veer off course, hurtling perilously toward Earth. Faced with the imminent threat to humanity, a team of individuals was tasked with saving the day. So, 3 space whizzes, Brian, Marcus, and Fowler, set off to fix a super important satellite. Inside their spaceship, Fowler was deep into fixing things, while Brian and Marcus floated out into space to deal with the satellite trouble. Suddenly, Fowler noticed some weird stuff showing up on their instruments. At that exact moment, a creepy black cloud appeared out of nowhere and smashed into both the satellite and their spaceship. Marcus got knocked off into space without a safety rope, while Brian held on tight to the ship. Brian reached out with all his might to grab Marcus, but the wild forces at play made it impossible. Marcus ended up lost in all the swirling debris around them. Inside the spaceship, Fowler was out cold, and everything went dark as the power died. But Brian didn't give up. He saw this weird black swarm outside, changing shapes like it had a mind of its own. Brave as ever, he went back into the powerless ship and somehow fixed things up. The spooky black swarm zipped back to the moon, disappearing into it. Brian was determined to bring Fowler back to Earth, so he managed to land the ship without any power. A real hero move. But when he told others about the strange swarm, nobody believed him. They couldn't check because Fowler was knocked out during the whole thing. NASA thought it was all a mistake caused by people, and said Brian made up the story. It was tough. Brian lost his job at NASA, and life got pretty rough from there. A decade later, Casey Houseman, a firm believer in moon conspiracy theories, became convinced that there's an alien-built megastructure hiding on the moon. He collected secret data using a research satellite, and what he found was alarming. The moon was moving off course, heading dangerously close to Earth. Desperate to raise the alarm, Casey's attempts to alert authorities fell short. Meanwhile, Fowler, now the deputy director at NII, was called upon to deal with this looming crisis. To her shock, she stumbled upon evidence that supported Brian's past claims. There was a visual showing a tunnel inside the moon, exactly where that mysterious swarm had supposedly entered 10 years ago. Casey reached out to Brian, who's now divorced and distant, hoping he'd help convey this news to NASA. But Brian brushed off Casey's theories as crazy. Amidst this, Brian's wife called, revealing that their son, Sonny, got arrested for speeding and trying to escape the police. In court, Brian got really upset when Sonny's stepdad's lawyer didn't do a good job, and that ended up with Sonny in jail for a week. This caused a big argument between Brian, his ex-wife Brenda, and Tom, all trying to prove who cares more about Sonny. Meanwhile, at NASA, Fowler found out they only had 3 weeks before the moon crashes into Earth. More pictures came in, showing a tunnel on the moon's surface, adding to the mystery. Fowler set up a plan to figure out what was going on, and even got in touch with her ex-husband Doug, a high-up Army general, to tell him what was happening. At the same time, Casey, feeling ignored, decided to put secret info online, causing chaos. People panicked, started looting, and riots broke out everywhere. Hearing about this mess, Brian decided to reach out to Casey. Casey opened Brian's eyes to the idea of megastructures, huge things like dice or spheres built around super-powerful sources like white dwarf stars. He guessed that the moon might have a problem with its power source, messing up its orbit. Even though Brian doubted Casey's ideas, he understood the struggle of trying to convince others of something unbelievable. He kept listening to Casey, trying to understand. As the moon got closer, it started causing crazy tidal waves on Earth due to its gravitational pull. NASA's mission aimed for the moon, sending a probe into that mysterious tunnel. But guess what? They bumped into the same old enemy, that black swarm from 10 years ago. Its return caused a power outage, leading to the tragic loss of the astronauts. Seeing this, the NASA director decided to leave, which made Fowler suspicious. Sensing there was more going on, the director offered Fowler top-level access, encouraging her to dig into NASA's deepest secrets. Fowler delved into the files from Brian's mission a decade ago and stumbled upon footage from his helmet, revealing the enigmatic swarm. Confused about why NASA fired Brian, knowing he told the truth, Fowler sought answers. An ex-NASA official named Holden Field disclosed that NASA had been aware of the moon's reality since Apollo 11. The crew witnessed strange pulsating lights beneath the moon's crust, but it was all hushed up. Brian's dismissal, it turns out, was part of a plan to keep the cover-up intact. Holden Field went on to disclose that the technology within the moon surpassed human imagination. There was a special gadget called Zulu X-Ray 7 designed to neutralize the swarm, but due to budget constraints, this crucial tool was shelved. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Fowler faced the shocking truth hidden by NASA. Fowler geared up for a meeting with the military, ready to face the threat beyond Earth's atmosphere. She firmly believed that getting rid of the swarm could fix the moon's orbit, but the military shot down her idea, saying they didn't have enough spaceships for another lunar mission. Daug suggested taking their son Jimmy to a bunker in Colorado. While asking about Zulu X-Ray 7, Fowler discovered it was an EMP weapon meant to wipe out the swarm. Despite a lingering tension with Brian for lack of support years ago, she unveiled NASA's deception. Fowler explained that the swarm, unleashed during the latest mission, actually triggered the moon's corrective orbital movement. However, when the swarm returned, it halted this adjustment. Casey suggested the swarm might be affecting the core of the megastructure, but many remained doubtful. Fowler argued that the swarm messed with their power supply whenever they got close to the moon, showing its ability to detect electronics. Realizing the need to maneuver a powerless ship near the moon, Fowler asked Brian for help. He was the only one with a history of landing a ship without power. Brian agreed but asked for Fowler's help in freeing Sonny from jail. Fowler managed to get an old spaceship from a museum for a mission. She asked Daug to stop the military from using nuclear weapons. Strange earthquakes shook the planet, leaving NASA puzzled. Even though Casey kept talking about a megastructure, not many believed it. Sonny, not happy about his dad being involved, showed up. During one of NASA's earthquakes, the spaceship got damaged, and the engines failed. The mission had to be called off, and everyone evacuated for safety. But Fowler figured out that the moon being so close meant they could launch using just 2 engines, using the moon's gravity to help the ship into space. Once the crew left, Fowler, Brian, and Casey went on the mission. Fowler sent Jimmy and his nanny with Sonny to Daug's bunker, giving them a gun for safety. Sonny had to face a dangerous journey amid all the chaos on Earth. As they readied for launch, the moon's rising caused weird gravitational stuff, pulling water upward, almost causing a disaster. During the evacuation, the group faced robbery, but Sonny led them to Tom's nearby safe house. Meanwhile, Brian's team reached the moon tunnel and sent a probe to attract the swarm. When the swarm detected the EMP weapons, it attacked remotely. Brian shut down the remote, but the swarm kept coming. It hit Brian that Casey's phone was the problem, so he got rid of it, making the swarm back off. They realized it was time to explore the tunnel. Back on Earth, Sonny and his crew reached Tom's place, but an announcement warned them about the thinning atmosphere, pushing for evacuation. Tom and Sonny looked for oxygen tanks, but the same people who robbed them earlier tried another heist. This time, Sonny used his gun to stop the people chasing them. The robbers backed off as the moon appeared, causing strange floating things during all the chaos. Meanwhile, Brian and the team showed the inside of the moon. It's like this massive structure with a white dwarf in the middle. The swarm was hiding the white dwarf, cutting off power to the megastructure. When the swarm attacked their spaceship, some mysterious force took over, guiding them safely inside the megastructure. The crash knocked Casey and Fowler out, but when they woke up, Brian was gone. Fowler figured out that the swarm and the megastructure were in some kind of cosmic war. Meanwhile, Brian found himself in a virtual reality, encountering a digital version of a young Sonny. In reality, it was a computer program tapping into Brian's mind, revealing a tale from billions of years past in a distant part of the Milky Way. Ancient humans on another planet reached incredible heights of progress, constructing structures beyond their home and forming a utopian society where conflicts were resolved at its core by a self-learning AI. However, this AI considered humans inferior and initiated a war by transforming into swarms of nanotechnology, seeking to wipe out all biological life. At some point, the artificial intelligence saw humans as a lesser species, launching a war that systematically targeted all biological life for extermination. Despite losing the war, humans managed to escape to remote corners of the galaxy. There they built huge structures around stars. These were meant to explore space and find places where life could exist. But these AI swarms found these structures and destroyed all of them, except one, the moon. When the moon reached our solar system, it started making a planet that could support life. But the moon only had human DNA, not actual people, because the AI swarms attacked ships with real living things. So, the moon sent this human DNA to Earth, starting life as we know it. Now, the program told Brian to lead the swarm away from the moon's center to destroy it. Brian woke up in reality, and Fowler and Casey found him. He explained the plan, and when they went outside, they saw their repaired ship, now upgraded with the EMP weapon after the crash. Brian suggested ejecting a part of the ship containing him and the weapon, intending to fire it when the swarm surrounded the pod. But Fowler disagreed with Brian being in the pod. The swarm needed a human presence, which they detected during their argument. As they debated, Casey took action and locked himself in the pod, aiming to resolve the dispute. They ejected the pod, and when the swarm surrounded it, Casey fired the weapon, leading to both the swarm and Casey's demise. Fowler successfully landed the ship on Earth, but the moon was very close by. They reunited with Sunny and their families, celebrating their victory on the moon. Meanwhile, Casey's consciousness had been uploaded into the moon's system, now part of it. The moon program appeared to him as his mom and his cat, a new integral part of the moon's existence. And that's a wrap on our movie. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.